Hello and welcome back, everybody, to another session of Influencer Insights, where I have Jeni Ji Cousins on, who's an international, well-known television, clairvoyant, psychic medium, animal communicator, esoteric, spiritual life coach and teacher, past life in
Akashic.
There we go. Record readings, meditation teacher, relationship coach, transformation coach, and pranic healer. Jeni reads into your level of consciousness to see where you're at, your soul's previous lifetimes, and what karmic situations you need to resolve. She channels her clairvoyant insights and answers into your questions, giving you clarity and what steps you need to take to help you transcend and shift forward. She's been doing this readings for about 40 years. Jeni Ji hosted and produced a live spiritual talk show on Shaw TV television for over 4 years and booked clients and interviewed them, took calls from their viewers doing readings and answering the questions on the show. Jeni has been on many North American radio shows and was interviewed many times in magazines, podcasts, radio shows worldwide. And so you can also catch her in her column on SF Yoga magazine called Just Ask Jeni Ji. So welcome, Jeni Ji, and sorry for your brutal attempt at your introduction, but you've done a lot of amazing things, and we're really glad to have you with us today. So,
well, thank you. I'm very grateful and honored to be a part of your show here. Very grateful.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself beyond you're in Calgary now. You've got furry friends at home and that sort of thing.
Yeah. My spiritual like abilities and such like that, I've always had them. And I knew that when I was 4 years old, I started to see a lot of different things.
Cool.
And as I got older, I started like doing a lot of studying and meditating and finding out more of why I was seeing what I was seeing. And when I started to get like confirmations from clients, from friends, I'm like, you know what, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Wow.
And I used to, like work in offices and work and, all kinds of jobs. But
yep.
I'm like, no, I was more drawn to my spiritual work than being a part of the corporate world, so to speak.
Sure.
Yeah.
When did you kind of develop the spiritual awareness, or when did you kind of come into the realization that was something that kind of, hit you?
Well, I always knew I was different, but I didn't know why or how. And I started to see things, and I thought everybody could see what I could see.
Sure.
And then my neighbor, he was somebody that he was really spiritual, and I always thought he was very different. And I used to look after and babysit his children whenever him and his wife went out and such like that.
Sure.
And he started to tell me that I'm very different. And he says, "You're seeing things, aren't you?" And I'm like, "How do you know that?" So
wow.
He explained to me what was going on. And I started my metaphysical studies when I was 14.
Wow.
So I started reading some really advanced esoteric books by Alice Bailey. And for me, that was normal. I'm like, oh, thank gosh, like I'm actually connecting with something that I get.
Right.
So I just started studying more and meditating a lot and spending time alone. And I wouldn't tell people what I was really seeing and going through, because I thought, my friends aren't going to get it. They're not going to understand that. I just knew that.
Right.
So I just expanded from that point on, and just kept quiet, like kept hidden in the closet, so to speak, had normal type of jobs until I couldn't handle it anymore.
So being 14, you went to your neighbors and it was kind of somebody else out of your say home safe circle. Did your family know this about you, or notice anything different, or nobody else in their families like this?
No, they like, I would say, I'm starting to see things. So I remember my parents brought me to the eye doctor. They thought, I was like, something was happening to my eyes. And yes, exactly right. And then I went to my doctor and I said, I think I'm having like a nervous breakdown, because I'm starting to see certain things like ghosts and spirits. So immediately he accused me that I was doing drugs, and I'm like, no, I'm not.
Not
I'm
like
like,
that.
oh my God. I'm like, Jeni, you have to like be quiet. You cannot say anything more. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so
Sure.
alone. So I went to my neighbor, and and then he explained so much more to me. And
Wow.
I really connected with him because I knew he was different.
Hmm.
So um that's when I'm like, I really got to study. I started like reaching out more so to like other readers, like what's going on with me, and doing workshops and going to seminars. And
Wow.
I mean, for the people that really knew me, they used to call me the Tibetan Buddhist monk, because I would spend a lot of alone time
Yes.
and meditating and studying and such.
Sure. Cool.
So yeah.
And so this kind of progressed to your obviously high school years and that sort of thing. How long did you spend in kind of corporate, regular job time before you?
Um, I well, I had gotten married
Okay.
when I was,
Cool.
I think, like 20, 22 or 23, and then I had a child.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I was like, the mom, and working in, after we divorced, I was working, of course, like that, and I continued to work because I had to.
Sure.
And then I started to get all of these signs from spirit, as I say.
Right.
And I'm like, I got to start doing readings, because there's always signs when we pay attention to it. So I started off doing my readings part-time
Hmm.
and working full-time, and of course raising my child full-time, being a single mom.
Right. What are some of those kind of signs that maybe, I don't know, people might recognize themselves if they started looking around a little bit and that sort of thing? Is there some?
Well, I'd be like, I'd start to like do readings on friends and such like that. And they were
Okay.
starting to give me confirmations. And
Wow.
I would be sitting back, and I would all of a sudden sense and feel somebody around me.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, who is that? And what really got my attention even more so is I've had near-death experiences.
Whoa.
Yes. And that woke me up more, because I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not supposed to die. So um, so then I started seeing more and hearing voices from the spirit world from somebody who had passed on. So for
Hmm.
instance, I'd hear this message from this woman, and I had just saw my friend, and his girlfriend had been killed,
Oh my.
and I was getting messages from her, and I'm like, what's going on with this? So
Right.
and literally it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't sleep because I was hearing all of these messages, and I'm like, no, I'm not calling him. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna send him a message.
Yeah.
And whatever message she told me, I sent it to him, and I'm like, there you go. And then she was gone, and I was able to fall back to sleep.
Wowzers.
So yeah, there's different signs, like, if you pay attention,
Yeah. Yeah.
signs can be anywhere from, like the television. You could be sitting back and all of a sudden thinking of someone,
Right.
and all of a sudden a song comes on, and it's that song that it's from them,
Hmm.
because it's your song that, you guys connected
Connected.
with.
Yeah.
um there's so many different things, like so many signs, like so many
Wow.
feathers, bennies. um you can feel somebody touch you.
Hmm.
I've had that, and I've turned
Where
around
are
like,
you? Yeah.
who's there? And yeah, and nobody's there.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of a point where you said, okay, so corporate world, great, peace out, I got to do this. What kind of shifted you to doing readings? Did you just start bringing on clients right away, or how did that transition work?
Well, I started advertising because
Okay.
I started advertising because one of the jobs I was at, like, my son, he was ADHD, and I had a
Hmm.
lot of difficulties. And I kept on getting called from his school to go pick him up because there was problems. And I'm like, I'm
Right.
gonna lose my job.
Yeah.
So you know, I thought, you know what, I got to start something on the side in case I lose my job. So I started advertising at that point,
Okay.
and building up my clients and such like that. And then I started to get more referrals, and it just started to build a little bit more from that point on.
Right. Right. Where did
Yeah.
this start to shift into kind of the media state and getting into your own TV show and writing articles and that fun
Well, I
stuff?
mean, I had I moved to Ireland. Like, I'm a British and
Oh,
Canadian citizen. I have
cool.
dual citizenship. And I had plans to move to Ireland anyways, because my
Sure.
dad was born from Ireland. And I happened to meet somebody online who was from Ireland.
Nice.
And I connected with him right away. I felt that familiarity, and I knew
Yes.
he was connected with my past life, because when you meet somebody and you feel comfortable with them right away, as if you know them,
Mm.
they are connected with your other lifetime. I do past life
Hmm.
readings. So I had moved over to Ireland, long story short,
Okay.
and the relationship didn't work out, which I subconsciously knew it wouldn't. But I thought, you're wrong, you're wrong. I
We got to
wasn't listening
try.
to myself. I'm like, it's fear. And I'm like, oh my God. So I moved back to Calgary, and I started working at a hospice. And and then all of a sudden I'm sitting back, and I'm getting kind of really depressed, because I'm like, that the job at the hospice was soon going to end, because it was temporary. I was helping them out until this other person came back. And
Sure.
I'm like, oh my God, spirit, what am I going to do? Oh my gosh. And out of the blue completely, I had a phone call come in, and it was one of the producers from Shaw TV, and he asked me if I wanted to have my own television show. And I'm like, what is this, a joke? Like, like, who is this? Like, seriously,
How does that even
really?
happen? Right.
Yeah, right? Like, I was about to hang up the phone,
Yeah.
because I'm
It's
literally
a joke.
saying, like, before him, spirit, what am I going to do? What am I going
Yeah.
to do? Like, I'm open to new opportunities.
Yeah.
Boom, a phone call comes in. And then I realized that it is real. And then I had to send in information and everything like that. So yeah, Shaw TV started me, and I was booking clients, or I mean,
Of course.
booking people, guests, to come on my show, and I would interview them.
Yep.
And then I would open up the phone lines, the other half of the show, and take calls from the viewers and do readings with them, or and
Wow.
answering their questions, and so on. And I was there for over 4 years. And then I was going to end my show, because I wanted to go, and I was so passionate about documentary and making films and such. And I
Yeah.
just got the approval from the big guys at Shaw TV that, yes, you can do that. And then all of
Awesome.
a sudden, Shaw, they had closed down their television studio at
Uh,
my location in Calgary. And I'm like, oh my God, my
come on.
documentaries. Oh, just so I got approved. So because they moved all of their equipment to, like, across Canada. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I want to
Back
go
east.
across Canada. No.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Kind of shut that down in a hurry for you, but
Yeah, 4.5 years. And yeah, they don't film in Calgary anymore at all. Like, so
that right, eh?
anybody else who had different shows at Shaw, I mean, everything
Shut
was
it down.
canceled. Yeah, it was all shut down. So
Oh man. Oh man.
yeah.
So how many episodes and stuff did you do over those 4.5 years? Do you know?
Oh my God. I think there was like 1,100 shows I did.
1,100 shows. Holy man.
Yeah, because it was live weekly. It was live
Right.
every week, once a
Okay.
week. And I was just looking at that the other day. I wonder how many hours I did. And my producers, I still have it. I think it was like 1,100 shows I did.
Wowzers. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you definitely had the experience behind the camera and on a set and all those
Oh,
things. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It was so much fun, and I miss my crew the most,
Yeah.
because it
People
was
you
like
work
that
with.
Shaw TV family. So I
Nice.
really miss my crew, and the staff and my producers, and you
Yeah.
know at Shaw, like, wow, they're in my heart. And I was so grateful and honored to even be asked to be a part of that, and to be able to do that. And I'd book some really good people, and then I'd get interview on other shows and podcasts and radio shows too. And
Yeah.
it was fun. Yeah.
Any particular highlights of guests that you remember on top of your head that people might know?
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, there's so many. So many. Oscar Lopez. He was a
Oh,
lot of fun. I mean, there's so many. Oscar Lopez, he's a well-known Grammy Award winner, Juno Award winner,
yeah,
Latin Grammy Award winner. I mean, he's my dear friend still today,
cool.
dearest friend today. And
Wow.
we had so much fun. And I always remember, just to give you an example, like as Oscar was pulling up in the studios, I went to meet him because then we had to get past security and all of
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And my other producer came out and I was outside talking to him for a while. And my producer's like, Jeni, I have been waiting here like 10 minutes and you've been talking. Come in. And I'm like, oh, great.
My
And
bad.
he was so much fun. Like he was so much fun. And there was like Jason Gogo. He was a famous oh, his work was amazing. He had died unexpectedly.
Oh
He
my.
did art for like Pink and celebrities and such like that.
Right.
He was on television shows. Like so many guests, so much
Wow.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then nice part about that, just to roll the transition, you ended up booking a whole bunch of clients through your spiritual coaching awareness after this. Is that how that worked?
Yeah, like I was always doing my readings. Like I've been doing my readings for years and years and years and years,
Okay.
way
Yeah.
even before Shaw TV came around.
Right.
That's how they called me. They're like, you know what? We've seen you. We know who you are. Would you want to show? That's how they phoned me. That's how they,
Sure.
right? Because I'm like, who is this? How do you know me?
Yeah.
Right? And they're like, well, we know who you are. And I'm like,
We know
oh,
you.
okay. Yeah. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I just continued on like reading and I still do, like, even if I had millions of dollars, which I don't, right? I would still be doing my readings.
Mm, with
I
love.
wouldn't be charging people
Right.
for it,
Right.
because then I'd have all this other money where I could support myself. My readings is
Sure.
how I support myself. But I would still be doing that because it's just who I am. It
Mm,
always will be, regardless of what.
yeah. I think that's a huge passion note for just about anybody, that, right? If you, I was thinking about it the other day, how doing something that no matter what happens in the rest of your life, you're wanting to be doing that is like, to be able to do that, to make a living, what a gift, right?
Yeah.
And that certainly
Yeah.
comes from your spiritual work, just guiding you there,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yes, because when you follow whatever it is you're passionate about,
mhm.
it's going to lead you to your soul's destiny and your soul's path,
Yes.
and in so many different ways.
Mm.
So, I've had people say, I know, but I wanted to be a ballerina, or let's say, for an example, I'm like, then
Yeah.
go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like my mom said, I can't. Go do it, because maybe that's who you're supposed to be.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Very important. Very
You're actually
important.
stealing back from the rest of the world by not giving your gift, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we all have our own purpose and reasons why we're here.
Yes.
And it's so important to follow your path that you resonate, that
Yes.
feels right for you always,
Yes. Absolutely.
regardless.
Oh, absolutely. So a little bit more maybe personal. So thank you for, well, lots of amazing experience there. I'm sure we could talk all night about that. What's something that people maybe don't know about you that's behind the camera and that sort of thing?
Um, well, I've lived in 3 countries.
Three.
Um,
Wow.
I
Cool.
Anytime I've traveled, I'm always alone.
Okay.
Um, and I had in within a year and a half, I had 17 friends, like really dear friends of mine, and family, and both my dogs pass away. 17
Oh my.
within a year and a half.
Wow.
And
That's
it
intense.
yeah, and I handle that all on my own.
Oh
I
my.
mean, and normally it's me working and helping and counseling with everybody else.
Yeah.
And anytime I kind of brought it up, everybody'd be like, they'd shut it down, because they of course, who knows how to handle that or work through that.
Right. Right.
And it was very difficult. And like even December for me is a hard month, because my
Right.
one of my best friends died December 16th.
Oh
My
my.
other best friend died December 17th.
Oh, bang
My
bang.
sister died. My first sister died at Christmas. My grandmother died at Christmas. And now my dog's in for surgery on the 15th.
Oh man.
Um, so I'm like, oh my goodness,
Lots of,
and
yeah, feelings
with
rise up.
yeah, and back also in 2012, I had like I chant every day and
Oh,
I
okay.
meditate every day. I
Sure.
spend more time alone than with other people. It's nothing
Right.
against other people. And back in 2012, I went into some deep trance, I'll just say, call it,
Sure.
and I was shown um, in detail
Mm,
as if I was watching a movie
right.
about my future.
Wow.
And everything that I was shown has happened or is happening. And I was also shown how I was going to die in this lifetime.
Oh my. That's
And
a lot.
not many people know that.
Wow.
I've shared it with only a couple of people, and
Mm.
I've actually shared that with a really dear friend of mine who's an Academy Award winner director.
Oh wow.
Because I said, okay, I'm not going to say who he is, but I
No.
said, you know what? Okay, this is what I was sure. I mean, he knows me. I talk to him every day for years.
Yeah, yeah.
And um, I said, okay, this is what I was shown by, I'll just say spirit,
Sure.
how I'm going to die.
Right, right.
And I said, if I do, if that's what happens, I says, then you can talk about it and share that and such like that and
Right.
everything. So it's very real. And I mean, any other readings I've ever had by any other readers, let's say for myself
Hmm.
personally, not one of them has picked up on anything that was shown to me
Oh wow.
back in 2012.
Okay. Okay.
And um, another many things, mind you, but back in 2016, I was sick, I was ill,
Right.
and I didn't tell anybody
Oh
because
my.
the last thing that you want to do is ever own a disease or say it
Yes.
or anything.
Yep.
So I kept that to myself, and I was also shown in a vision this was going to happen.
Okay.
Um, and back in 2012. And so anyways, I'm like, okay. And I was going to Hawaii. I was on my way to Hawaii. I knew I was going. And then I met that Academy Award winner friend who I just told you about. He sent me a message and I started talking to him.
Mm.
And I'm like, this is something, I'm like, wow, he's pretty hot. Right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, right.
Take the opportunity,
Uh,
right?
I'm just saying, right. And so then it kind of gave me that motivation. And I'm like, maybe I'm supposed to be here longer.
Mm.
So, a long story short, because I do pranic healings and everything, anyways,
Right.
I just kept on hearing from spirit, you can heal yourself.
Yes.
And I went into this kind of deep trance all of a sudden, and I literally saw this white substance come out of my side of my body.
Wow.
And I looked around and the clock said 11:11. And then my friend happened to call me a couple of days after, and she goes, "What's wrong?" Because she knows me, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to tell you."
Yeah.
So she freaked out. She
Yeah.
freaked out. She goes,
I don't
"Oh
want to
my
hear this.
God!" And she goes, and because I said, "Yeah, I'm going to see my doctor for results and stuff." And
Right. Right.
so anyway, she came with me, and I said in my dream, I was also showing that all of these different things and stuff like that. And I said, my goal now is when I will go back into my doctor's office, those results are going to come back and everything's going to be fine. That's exactly what happened. Exactly what I was showing, exactly word by word, exactly
All
what
the
happened.
pieces all fit together, eh? Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that I don't share with people or tell people because they
yeah.
won't. It depends who it is. Like my one of my best friends that died, Shruti Ram, who I interviewed too.
Okay.
Uh, he he knew a lot about me. I could share with him everything, and
Cool.
yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Wow. Well, yeah. And I'm sure there's a level of you I don't know, appreciation for the gifts that you've been given when you can see so much, but there's also like there's gotta be a bit of a weight and extra pressure and maybe surprises that
Yeah.
some people
Yeah.
just in oblivion don't really notice about too, right? So
Yeah. Like I observe a lot. Like I'm somebody that observes
sure.
everything,
Yep.
uh, worldwide events.
Mm.
I see a lot and I don't see anything. Like just to give you like just one little example,
Yeah.
a friend of mine, he asked to borrow a suitcase because he was going away for his family's wedding, and it's a big, huge wedding. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem. And when he came over to get the suitcase, I saw something was going to happen to his dad. His
Okay.
dad was not going to be around. So
Oh,
anyway, and I didn't say anything. I just, talked to him and I said, I said, there could come a time when, your mom and dad aren't going to be together, of course, right? Like,
yeah.
so I never, ever, ever
Brought it
say,
up.
say to anybody, somebody's going to pass ever. That's up to God. I
That's right.
never give that information.
Yeah.
He was thinking I was talking about maybe a divorce or something. So anyways, he actually goes to Winnipeg. It was all over the news and everything. And he was
Oh
walking
my.
down the side road. Drunk driver hit his dad right in front of him. His
No.
dad went in the ear. Without giving lots of details, his dad immediately died.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, it
Oh
was
my
that
goodness.
weekend, that same weekend, because he came over the day before he was leaving.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I see a lot, and I just sit back and
Yeah.
observe.
Yeah. Well, and there's a point where people, unfortunately, are only prepared to hear until they can take it too, right? And it's
Yeah, even working at the hospice, I mean,
mm-hmm.
I was working on call at a hospice for many, many years, and a hospice is where people pass.
Right.
And I mean, I would see people pass every day,
Sure.
and their angels coming and stuff like that. And I would literally pick feathers up from the angels and take a photo, never of the patients, of course, never, but of the feather.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
would post the picture of the feather of the angel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty intense. Oh man. It must take a lot of years to get to the place where you kind of feel confident in the things that you're hearing as well, right? Because sometimes we can hear things and we're like, yeah, it's not really, but then all of a sudden, something happens, right? And you're like, holy smoke!
Yeah.
But that's a big weight to carry. So,
Yeah.
uh, mental health is a big part of our group, and we're always looking to support models and influencers, photographers, other people in the industry. I'm guessing, besides all of the people that you've talked to, there's some challenges or impacts to mental health in your own life as well. And just wonder if you'd share some of the kind of personal
Hmm.
details of things that you've been through and what you did to work through some of that. And
Yeah, like especially with COVID, once COVID came,
yes,
like mental health affected everybody.
yes,
And I deal with suicides
mm,
and suicides like a lot, actually, myself,
okay, okay,
working with clients and their families and such like that, having more familiarity, with the hospice too and stuff like that, dealing with death.
right,
And especially with mental health, it's we have to have more compassion towards people.
we do,
We have to support each other in a positive way. And it's all about, following your passion. Like
yes,
mental health with COVID, right? It's like, okay, you can take a negative situation and you can utilize that into something positive.
yes,
And I mean, when COVID came, like, oh, of course, all my plans that I had, like everybody had,
yeah,
everything changed.
oof,
And one of my passions is photography.
oh, cool, very
And
cool,
yeah, I do photography as well. Even had Nat Geographic like my photos, and I'm like, what? Like that's crazy, right?
that's
But
awesome,
but I know, but I was gonna go like to like some course, and of
sure,
course I couldn't do that. So I took a course online,
yeah,
and that was so passionate, and I took advantage of that,
yes,
and it's part of like a meditation too, because
right,
when you do things you're passionate about, when you're
mm,
depressed, it can really change your mindset, like meditation,
yes,
going for like a walk in nature.
yeah,
Like whenever you're stressed, it holds energy in your body and it creates blockages.
yes,
When it creates blockages in your body, it throws your body out of alignment, which is going to bring in disease, which is
okay,
going to bring in depression and sadness and all of that.
right,
So whenever you're feeling, even depressed, there's always somebody to talk to, if it's not family or friends. Because with me, because I had everybody die on me, like
right,
17 friends and within a year and a
oh
half,
my,
And then with my two best friends dying on me, I'm like, oh my God, there's nobody
Who's
to talk
left?
to
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I mean, I'm always pretty much alone anyway. So I chant every day, which brings me up to different vibration if I'm feeling
Hmm.
like sad or depressed or angry or upset. Like today's the full moon, right? That
Yes.
we're actually
Yeah.
doing this. So
That's
it's
right.
more normal for people to be more emotional. And
Yes.
whenever, you know, you have any like memories coming up and surface, which it does happen during different cosmic time, full moons and different times. That's why I
Okay.
do videos on YouTube to help people
Yes.
understand
Okay.
why this is happening.
Yeah.
You know, it's really good to you know, don't hold back your emotions, don't hold back your anger. You know, that's why God gave us tears,
Yes.
to let go and to
Release.
cry. You know, go to the gym and work out, go to different groups online, virtually,
Yep.
reach out to different groups.
Yep.
You know, and you're here for a reason. You're here for a
Absolutely.
reason, and things do happen for a reason. And that's one of the main reasons why I do my work that I do,
Sure.
because even if I help even one person a day, just for an example, I know that I've really done the work that I've done,
Right.
because it can save that person's life.
Yeah. Yeah. It can make a whole different shift, and their whole trajectory can totally shift, right? If you give them the
Yes,
opportunity to work through some of those pains
yes.
and
Yeah, and you have to show yourself compassion. You really
sure.
do. You know, we
Yeah.
can have compassion towards other people and situations and
Yes.
such. And it's really important to try to distance yourself away from negativity,
Yeah.
watching the news, all of the fear
Ick.
propaganda, and surround yourself with people that are positive.
Right. Yes. Uplifting
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
encouraging and
absolutely uplifting. Listen to some really good music, you know, move
yes.
your body around, go for a walk in nature,
Yeah.
anything that makes you happy.
Yes. Yeah. Focus on those things and everything else starts to kind of
Yeah,
sort itself out weirdly, right? Like in weird ways. So
absolutely. And there's always a number. There's always a suicide number to call. Don't
right.
ever feel embarrassed. That's what they're there for.
That's right. They understand.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
just talking about your program for a sec there, what's if like if somebody ended up working with you, what's it kind of look like to go through the process with you? Do they you meet on Zoom or how does that all come together for you guys?
Well, I don't do readings in person anymore. I stopped
Okay.
all of that with COVID.
Yeah.
All of my readings are, because I do international readings,
Oh
have for
wow.
many years.
Sure.
So my readings are done, yeah, by Zoom, by Skype, by phone, Facebook Messenger, Viber. Like there's so many different apps,
Totally.
WhatsApp, Viber, like all of these things. And that's how I connect with people. And I read into their level of consciousness first to see where they're at,
Yep.
and take it from there. And I take a look at, because I can read people in seconds.
Yep.
So I take a look at how to help that person shift and transcend forward. I give them my insights into what is
Mm,
going on, why this is happening to you,
right.
and also give you those steps on how you can move forward. And,
Cool.
you know, they always ask me different questions. Oh, when am I going to meet my soulmate? Or what about my
Yeah.
job and career? You know, like all of those things.
Whoa,
And
whoa,
I'll give you,
whoa.
yes, and I'll give you all of those insights, but I'll also explain to you, okay, this is what's going to happen if you
Right.
know, date this person, or this is what's going to happen if you take that job, or
Mm,
like whatever it is. I give a
okay.
very, very detailed reading, very
Wow.
detailed.
Wow. Yeah, that's I mean, there's a level to taking things in your own hands, but at least if you've got some direction, right? Like that really helps like bring
Yes.
clarity to a lot of situations for people. So that's really cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
find that there's specific people that are just like they hear about your program and they're like, I want to get into this now, or are there some people on the fence, or when they get in the program, they're like, oh, this was stopping me before, and I
Yeah.
decided to overcome and try. Like, what are some people that listening? What are they?
Well, I mean, like, there's people that are skeptical, of course. I mean,
Sure.
especially with the work I do, I get it,
Yeah.
and I have like a group called Free Psychic Clairvoyant Readings with Jeni Ji on Facebook,
Oh,
and
cool.
people can join my group, and I go live
Sure.
answering their questions, giving insights and the guidance. And whenever somebody like wants to book an appointment with me for like counseling,
Yeah.
or to figure out more of how they can develop like psychic development, or how they can read animals, or how they can, whatever it is,
Right.
that's exactly why I work with them on their level of consciousness, because that person could be a beginner. That person might not even know what energy is, where everybody, we all are at our own level,
Yes. Yeah.
and we all see things on our own level of perception, because that person might have more abilities than that person, and so on and so on. And I believe we are all truly gifted. We all have abilities, we all have talents, we're
Yep.
all unique in our own way.
100%.
And I help that person bring out their abilities, their talents, their gifts, all of that.
Awesome. Wow.
Because what I'm going to do to this person, um, you know, the next person could be different where they're at, or
Sure.
what they want to learn, or what they want to do.
Right. Right.
So it is on that soul, on that person.
Sure. Everybody's on a little different walk and different awareness, right? So
Yes. We all have our own. I mean, I deal with all walks of life, like all walks of life, like reading people that are very, very well known, to the guy next door,
yeah.
to, people are people. We just have different jobs.
Yep.
Doesn't
Yep.
matter who it is. We're
No.
all important. We all have a purpose, regardless of what.
Oh wow. We need a lot more people like you doing your work in the in the world. I'll tell you that right now, because man, there's some people walking around and it's 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years of doing the same thing, and then get to the end and lights out, right? And it's not to say that what you're doing is wrong, but maybe you could be doing so much more than you're doing in the moment as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing with society, that like another lady that I talked to the other day, she I said, "What's your passion? What do you really want to do?" She goes, "I
Mm-hmm.
really want to be a police officer." And I'm like, "Then why don't you do it?" "Well,
Mm-hmm.
my mom doesn't want me to do it, my family." And I mean, I can understand that, a police officer, it's a dangerous job, but I said to her,
For
"You know
sure.
what? Maybe that's your purpose.
Right.
Maybe that's your destiny.
Yep. Do you
Look
want to miss
into
out?
it, find out the qualifications, really look into that,
Yeah. Yeah. It
because
might be the
that's
perfect
why you're
timing.
here." That's right. So, maybe you're supposed to be a janitor. Maybe you're supposed to work at Walmart. Maybe you're supposed to be a scientist. Like,
Yes.
we all have our own thing.
Yeah.
And, in today's society, people are like, "Well, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't move here. You can't." Enough. That's the negativity that you
Yes.
have to distance away from. You have
100%.
to, who you surround yourself with, you become.
Yep.
So
Yep.
if you're going to hang around with, let's say, a bunch of bikers,
Sure.
bike, just for an example, you're
Yep.
going to become one of that.
Yes.
If you hang around with somebody who is like, "Wow, that's a real mentor," I have mentors myself that I look up to,
Yes.
and I'm like, I love what they're doing. It's positive. So, I follow that.
Sure.
I follow that person.
Sure.
And it's about, you become who you surround yourself with, bottom line,
Yes.
like that,
Yep.
bottom line.
And
And
it's
that, and that can be lonely. That can
yep.
be lonely, because your other friends are like, "Okay, well, we used to do this and this and that," where, you're like, "That's just not who I am anymore. I
Right.
I want to do this, or I want to do that." And then you're like, "Okay, let's take that time out, meditate, listen messages from your soul,
Sure.
follow your path that resonates with you."
Yep. Oof. Good stuff. Good stuff right there. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
just being spiritual, like you just think that God put us all on this earth for a particular purpose, right? And I think it's a real disservice to one another to discourage people from not pursuing that, or to join groups and not get kind of what you need. It's not even always about the actions that you're taking, but just the surrounding of the kind of the energies and the people
Yeah.
positivity and stuff like that build you up, right? So
Yeah, it really does, you know, and then there's people, of course, that, you know, can get involved with the wrong groups, like
Yeah,
cults and stuff, or
sure.
just
Gangs.
different things, and they can get sucked in and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah,
you know, but it's all about the journey and such like that.
sure.
And that's why it's like when I read somebody, you know, because I do past life, it's like, okay, this is why you're here, and this is why, you know, you have karmic issues and lessons and situations you have to clear from other lifetimes as well,
Yes.
without going into lots of details. But you know,
Right. Yeah. No, that's, oh man. I know some people are going to be just like so happy to join your group and run to come work with you because that's some good stuff there, Jenny. So,
thank
um,
you.
what are some big dreams and kind of aspirations for the next couple of years for you and where you're going and you know, share what you can, I guess, put it that way.
Well, I'm always working on my projects that I'm
Cool.
passionate about.
Sure.
The film that I directed and produced in
Film.
2019,
Awesome.
I'm still working on that. My documentaries, I mean, we'll see whatever happens with that, mind you. And I am putting together, you know, I'm changing my website. I'm creating a whole new website. I mean, that takes time.
Yes, it
So
does.
that's probably realistically, you know, going to be up later next year. I mean, I'll have the same domain name and everything like that.
Yep.
And that's, I'm doing a lot of writing. My photography is one of my passionate things. I'm
Cool.
putting together like classes,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, lots of things.
Yeah.
So like my photography, for me, it's like my downtime, or I
Good.
meditate. I just go
Good.
out and do whatever, and it's like my space time and such like that. So it's, I'm always working on projects every single day. And what I recommend everybody is create a vision board. Like
Mm.
I'll go to the dollar store, get a huge colorful sheet of paper, like for $2 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I live alone, so I have it on my wall,
It's easy to put up.
and
Yeah.
I have a felt pen, and I write things down on my goals and such like that.
Cool.
Um, and then all the minute that you start writing things down, you start manifesting that energy to the universe, and then
Mm.
you start to see things happen. And you
Sure.
can write down more and more and more things that as you hear things, like I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, you know, I'd want to do that. I put it immediately on my vision board. So yeah, I every day I'm working on projects. Like every day I'm working on projects.
Awesome. Just
Yes.
expanding the energy and using the
Oh
thoughts that come
yeah.
through, right? So,
Yeah. And you have to have your downtime too. Like you have to
right.
have your downtime as well to rest.
So what
So
does a reader, somebody who's deeply spiritual, what do you do to come down from all that? Because that's pretty intense stuff all the time.
um photography, like
That's the big
that's
thing,
my
eh?
met. I'll just go out and I'll get
Shoot.
in touch with nature wherever, you
Awesome.
know, and I'm by myself. People are like, can I come? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
right? No offense, right? That's my time.
Yep.
And you know, I will go and like I chant every day. That, I mean, I enjoy that every day.
Sure.
um you know, I watch Netflix movies, you know, just different things, like
Yep.
different things. I just kind of go with the moment. Like I love walking my dog, not so much in the winter, of course, that's different,
Yeah.
you know.
Cold.
um
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, right. So no, where if it was my Irish wolfhound that I had, you know, he'd be like, "Ooh, I
Pulling you
like the
outside. Yeah.
cold."
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly, right. So yeah, but yeah, so it that's why it's like follow what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You know, if it's painting, if it's knitting, if it's you know, working on a car. I have a friend, and he, you know, he takes an old car and he fixes it up and stuff, like
Yeah.
like whatever it is, like
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
How do we get a hold of you if people want to get in touch and contact you and get in your program, that sort of thing?
Well, it's best to go to my website,
Okay.
soulworkwithjeni.com.
Cool.
I'm on Facebook. I have like 2 accounts on there, Jeni Cousins. Pinterest, Jeni Cousins. I'm on Instagram, Jeni Cousins, and Jeni Ji Photography. Twitter, I have a couple accounts. One of them I rant, ravage, and I go after the so-called leaders of the world because I read into them and then I call them on their stuff.
Fair
I'm
enough.
very blunt. That's the activist in me,
Yeah.
and I confront them when I need to, when I'm like, you know what, I just need to vent. I will go on Twitter and I'll blast them.
Sure. I get to do
right?
that once in a while, right? So
Yeah. And then I have my other Twitter photography account. So I keep very busy on all my accounts as well.
sure.
And I
Sure.
do my YouTube videos. YouTube, subscribe to my channel because I do weekly
Cool.
videos and such. And I do like a weekly video, like a collective, like cosmic collective video or whatever.
Yep.
And I'll explain to you why you're feeling, let's say, like tomorrow, if you're feeling really sad, this is why all of a sudden you're extra tired. Like how, because the energy changes every day.
Yeah.
So I start talking about that, and people are like, oh, that was exactly me. And I'll be like, this is what to expect realistically this week coming up. And then
Yep.
people like, oh my God, yes, I felt that, and this is what happened. So that way they're like, okay, I'm not going crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you're not going crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. It's the energy that will affect you. Like the full moon affects you, more emotional.
Even
You know,
more.
your sleep, you're not sleeping, you know, like things like that. I go into detail what to expect
Yeah. Wow.
and such like that. So,
Yeah.
so
No,
yeah,
that's awesome. I think there'll be a lot of value just for people just following you and connecting, and anybody that does jump on Jeni's socials, make sure to hit all the subscribe and the like and all those things buttons, because those really
yeah,
do help move things forward for her as well.
yeah.
So
And join my group, Free
yeah,
Psychic
join the group.
Clairvoyant Readings with Jeni Ji Cousins on Facebook.
Sure.
They can
Yep.
send me a question to SF Yoga Magazine.
Cool.
Just ask Jeni Ji for a free reading as well. So I'm
Awesome.
all over there. I'm all out there.
Good. Good. We'll make sure to have your links kind of close by this video or whatever and stuff. People can
Good.
get a hold of you that way as well. Was there anything that one big thought that you're like, I'm jumping on this podcast and I know I need to tell everybody about this? What is this?
You know, number one message is you can't judge anybody.
Mm.
You know,
Ooh.
we all have our own journey. We all have our own path to walk on.
Yes. Yep.
Truly, truly don't know what somebody is going through. I mean, you can look at somebody and instantly judge them for whatever reason. Please don't do that,
That's right.
because you truly, truly don't know their path. Have compassion towards other people. Show somebody unconditional love.
Yes.
And it's really important to also show yourself compassion and unconditional love.
Yep. Yep.
And follow your passions, whatever. Don't take a look at, how am I going to do that? How am I going to get that? How am I going to make it happen? Don't worry about any of that.
That's right.
Write it down on your vision board, because that's the minute that instantaneously manifestation starts to happen.
Great.
And you can do anything you want. Anything you want. So stay true to yourself and be authentic.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well, that wraps us up fairly well. So thank you very much,
Wow.
Jeni, for joining us. And again, looking forward to watching you continue to expand and grow in the influence that you have as well. And we appreciate you giving your time back to the group. I know everybody's going to appreciate the things that you've said today. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Benjamin. I'm very grateful and honored for this interview. I really appreciate you as well.
Thank you very much.